Other interesting political news, you have the UK police telling a citizen that saying speaking English is possibly a hate crime over there, as their rudimentary totalitarian country becomes more and more of a joke, and they're invaded, and they're weak, pathetic, and useless as they arrest people for memes and disarm law-abiding citizens, forcing them to be victims. Let's just say there's yet another reason not to visit there, as if you needed one. Now here, this is brought to us thanks to End Wokeness, who says, quote, "It's now a hate crime to say speak English in England," which, yeah, it's a weak, conquered country. Although, I think I maybe would argue that's probably what the politicians wanted all along. Here you have a police officer talking to a seated citizen.
If you do, that would be really handy for us. But apparently, during some conversations between yourself, apparently you have alleged, we weren't here, so I don't know you've said it, but you've alleged to say speak English, or was that effect?
Speak clearly.
Speak clearly.
No,
Okay.
the gentleman's partially deaf,
Yeah, he can speak clearly.
Yeah.
so I couldn't even hear him.
No, and that's fine, and that's why we've just come to speak, because potentially someone could perceive that as a hate crime.
Didn't we just know this was going to happen?
No, I
didn't
know.
we?
People, you know, if someone says to me, officer, I believe this, then we need to look at it, because someone's potentially reporting to me as a crime. Because if you
How weak and pathetic and conquered the UK has become. Hey, citizens of the UK, why don't you grow up here? Vote differently. Peacefully protest. They arrest people for memes, for Christ's sake. Yeah, we can't help but think it's not a coincidence all these governments made sure they disarmed their citizens before they took away their freedom of speech. Now, this should have gone more viral. Maybe it's not, because everyone knows the UK is a weak, conquered area. Got about 500,000 views as well as 13,000 likes. One of the first comments comes to us thanks to Retard Finder, hashtag I find retards. He says, quote, "England is gone," getting 4.8 thousand likes. Yep. Arthur Eagleman says, quote, "The UK has gone full communist," getting 311 likes. Paul Zupa says, "Soon it will be a crime in England to be English in England, or is it already?" Getting 179 likes. They also, remember, what was this, a couple months ago? You had a English or policeman in England or the UK, and they had some citizens waving the Union Jack, the country's flag, and the illegals or the immigrants, they actually were flying their country's flag, and the police went to the citizens of the UK and said, "Hey, we need you to take your flag down. You're upsetting the others, and they outnumber us." That's how weak and pathetic and conquered the UK is. You also have the comedian says, quote, "Your tweet was offensive to illegals." And he's got 514 likes. Western Decline says, quote, "Americans protect your First Amendment at all cost." There's a meme of the British flag says, quote, "Britain, the only country which imports its enemies, then calls you racist if you disagree with it," getting 187 likes. Well, that's not true. A lot of countries are doing that, actually. Stephen Legacy says, quote, "Europe," it's a quote from Marcus Cicerio, saying, quote, "The closer the collapse of an empire, the crazier its laws," getting 437 likes, which would explain something. Take This Viral says, "Come on, we know you can do it. Save yourselves." It says, make Britain great again." Can they? They seem to have liked being conquered and weak. Let's see. Someone has a screenshot of a person passing by looking like, what the hell's going on here? They got 242 likes. Cluckling says, quote, "This is why you don't let them take your guns." Getting 75. Let's make it 76 likes. Yeah. Never forget how close we came to this in the United States. We had Tim Walz saying hate speech is not protected. And remember, hate speech is just speech that they hate. Because it's the controversial stuff that needs protecting the most, even if you don't agree with it, because they ban that, they will ban it all. As we've seen time and time again throughout history, they really need to have people reading 1984 by George Orwell or Animal Farm by George Orwell if you want something a little bit shorter and easier to read in terms of vernacular, and still get the same concepts, but a lot shorter book and simpler language. Let's see here. Scrolling down more and more. Not seeing any contrarian comments thus far. Michael Williamson says, quote, "So asking Muslims to go home is out of the question, huh?" Getting 10 likes. John says, "Oh, look, footage of an East Berlin Stasi must be remastered." Getting 2 likes as well. Here's another top one. Paul Leclerc says, quote, if I didn't know any better, I would say this is Monty Python skit." Getting 8 likes. Yeah, that's probably kind of how the UK is perceived these days. It's a Monty Python's. Yeah, it's hard to tell the difference between joking and reality these days. But yeah, do you think they'll ever have freedom of speech in the UK again, or Europe for that matter, or Canada? Never forget how fortunate, thank God, if you're listening to the United States, how lucky we are. Nothing more rare than the First Amendment or the Second Amendment. Most countries don't have them. That's why I usually make fun of them, because real countries have citizens, they have the rights. But let me know your thoughts, because as always, be fascinated to hear what you have to say. Thank you everyone for taking time to tune in today. Again, try to get to 5,000 subscribers by the end of the month, so you can click that button. I greatly appreciate it. Also, give me a thumbs up, thumbs down, or comment. It's a great way to give me some additional feedback, letting me know how I can make the show better and better. Lastly, don't forget to take time to tell your family, tell your friends, tell your coworkers, heck, tell your enemies, tell anyone and everyone. Just stay safe and fight the good fight.